Okay, we're getting straight down to business. We have with us on the line the trainer of Jermall Charlo and Errol Spence Jr. Of course, you know him as Derrick James. Derrick, how are you doing? Derrick?
What did you say? Say that again? Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Good to hear from you, Derrick. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. No complaints. Everything is good. Just in the midst of these 2 training camps, and everything is going well. Thank you.
It's great to have you back on the show as always, and always a pleasure.
Great to be here.
So let's talk. 2 fights. We know now that Errol Spence is now fighting Danny Garcia. We also know that Jermall Charlo is in a unification bout. Which do you want to talk about first, Errol or Jermell?
Well, we're gonna talk about Jermell, man. I think this is, Jermell. It's all about him right now. You know what I mean?
Okay. So tell me, what do you think about the matchup? I mean, the opponent is his last result was the last fight was very impressive, didn't you think?
The opponent's good. I think that it's always great that Jermell is challenged because I think he performed better with better opposition, and with more stakes on the line. So I think that it's something that motivated him and has inspired him to be great.
In terms of the corona or COVID-19, how has that affected camp for you?
Say that again, the corona and what now?
How's the coronavirus affected you or affected camp and how you do things?
Well, it really hasn't affected camp. I mean, I think it's really from a boxing perspective, it's worked out better for me because I don't like people visiting my gym anyway when we're working. I mean, it's like nobody goes in the kitchen when the chef is cooking. They just sit out and wait for the food. I think the same way for me. I don't think that, so it's really stopped people from even coming to the gym. They know they can't come in, even though they knew before, but they still try to ask. Even now, it's like, if you're not taking tests like us two times a week, there's no need, you can't come in. So it's all good for us. It hasn't affected us anyway.
Okay. Unification, what does that mean to you as a trainer?
I mean, it means that one step closer to the goal of my guy. My guy, he wants to be the undisputed champ. And so this one step closer to that, and it means a lot because for me, it means that I'm helping my guys reach their personal goals, provide for their families and the future. And I think it's beautiful, man. So it means a lot to me. 5 champs in one house. It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
5 belts. 5 belts in one house.
5 belts, yeah. So when you look at the opponent that Jermall is facing, would you say he's the most dangerous opponent that Jermall is facing, or do you think he's still untested in that sense?
I think that he's dangerous. I think the most dangerous opponent that Errol has been, not Errol, but Jermall has been in the ring with is himself.
Okay.
I think that, and that's what any real fighter who's, I think that we have to continue to be ourselves and focus on, us and building us, working on us. But, he was challenged his last fight and he came through that. And I think that each time he's challenged, he stepped up. So he faces his greatest opposition every day he wakes up in the morning.
Do you feel
the way he wants to prepare and he's going to grind and work hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a good opponent and he's a great champion. He showed by upsetting Julian Williams. So I think he's a good fighter, man. He's a guy that if you don't come in there on your P's and Q's, he will get you out of there.
Do you feel that Jermall gets the credit that he deserves, losing the title, regaining the title?
I don't think he does. But at the same time, I think that we have to realize that everything we do is for ourselves, personally, right? Becoming a champ is his personal goal. And I think we have to settle with everything that's personal, just dealing with us. Me winning trainer of the year, something personal. I don't think anybody else should be happy about it, right? Or talk to me in a particular way because of that. So I think it's the same with, any other accolades you acquire throughout your career is that these are things for you. And so when you look at it like that, then you realize, hey man, people are not gonna really love you anyway. You accept it. I think when you continue to advocate for people to basically applaud you, pat you on the back, I think that's when you look for a life of heartache and hardship and being upset. So you choose who you want to be and what you want to be, I believe.
Okay. So in terms of preparation for this fight, is there anything you're doing differently? Obviously, you can't talk game plan, but is there anything you're doing differently with the champ, or are you doing things the same way?
With every opposition, there's going to be some things different, but I think at the same time, we have grown. And I didn't say he and I, he said we. And he has grown from his last fight. And so we're building from that. We began to come in and build from that to try to make a complete fighter. And so it's going to be a good fight. I believe that Rosario's a great adversary. He'll come in. He's a big puncher. And so very hungry. And that is what makes great fights. Two hungry fighters, two very strong and mentally, because this fight, most fights can be ended with physical strength. When you look at Jermell and his mental battles, he's won them. With John Jackson being behind, he didn't waver. Coming back from fighting Tony Harrison last fight, didn't waver. So I think that we will see a mental battle and see who will waver, who will give in, who will, who will succumb to pressure and everything else. So, and if nobody succumbs to the pressure, you'll see a phenomenal fight. It's a 12-round battle.
When your fighters are going against big punches, is there anything? Do you ever get concerned, or do you think, okay, big puncher, we need to do X, Y, and Z, or is it just a fight is a fight?
No, you have to be very cautious. You have to be very, aware of the punching power. You see, I think fear keeps you honest, and it keeps you. And I didn't say fearful, but it be fear. I think the idea of the punch keeps you honest, keeps you focused. And every now and then, when you do the wrong thing, maybe he'll catch you with a good right hand or a good punch to keep you. Say, remember that? Remember what we talked about? And so it's like he's a guy that works on your focus. Anytime you fight great fighters, they work on your focus. They really tell you personally how really good you really are. There's a lot of people think they may be things, but until you deal with these guys with big power, big punches, big thinkers, all these phenomenal fighters, and that's when you really are able to even look at yourself and see who you really truly are, because you see it by your performance.
Okay, would you say that both Charlo and Rosario are the best two in the division?
Yeah, because they beat the guy. Jermell had been the guy, and he lost to a guy, but he came back and beat that guy. So all these other guys, Rosario beat the guy to beat the guy, and J-Rock beat the guy to beat everybody. So it's like this is really the true super welterweight championship of the world. Both these guys have titles, but both these guys have beat. They've proven fighters to be able to beat, and they earned their position.
So, what sort of a fight are we looking at from you? In terms of what sort of fight, do you think it's going to be explosive fight? Do you think we'll see Charlo box more? What do you think we'll see more? What do you think we'll see in this fight, or expect to see in this fight from your?
I think this will be a very explosive fight because it has no. It could be calculated, right? In a calculative fight, but at the same time, eventually, a fight is going to break out. Eventually, the fight may break out. Now, if it's an intellectual fight, you never let the fight break out, right? Because you got a guy with big power, big punching power, and you kind of keep that at bay. But if you can't do that, eventually the fight's going to break out, and it's mano a mano who can take it and who can dish it.
What are the strengths you think your guy brings to the table for this fight in particular?
Well, he's a great puncher also. Very fast, very intelligent fighter, and he has the fortitude. He has been down and came back to win. He has been, beaten. Guys were beating him, and he's been behind and came back to win the fight. So what happens is, come on, he's been tested. Not to say that Rosario hasn't been, but we're talking about Jermell right now. Jermell has been tested, and he's shown to be true champion.
Fantastic. Okay, so if you were looking at the fight from a fan's perspective, what would you be banking on for you? Would you be looking for Jermall by knockout, or do you think it would go by points?
I don't know. I think that I never train him to get knockouts, but the punches that we throw and the things that we do get knockouts. So it's kind of like, I don't know. So if he's able to land the shots he wants to land and needs to land, then anything is possible.
Okay. Did you learn more from Jermall in his loss to Tony Harrison and he's coming back, or did you know that already about Jermall?
I learned more about Jermell in his victory over Tony Harrison.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that in the camp, this camp,
yes,
I'll say that his victory over Tony Harrison was like my most trying, and at the same time, it's a great victory because it was three things happened in the fight. He initially came out in a knockout guy out. Then after that, he got a knockdown, but they got a knockout. He gets fatigued, not really fatigued, but Tony starts to come on, and he did get a little winded in the middle rounds. But you have to be able to channel him back to work on what we worked on. If you notice when he knocked him out, those are all pinpoint accurate punches. So to be able to bring him back, coach him through the middle rounds, and it's all from being a boxer who's been fatigued before. How do you get through those rounds? How do you do this? How do you do that? And so for me, that was my greatest challenge because it was more about keeping him focused into the fight. But what I learned more about, and I'll say to this about Jermell, is that from that particular fight and coming into training camp, he was already in shape. He was already ready to go and listening and ready to build on from what he started he did wrong in the last fight. So it wasn't so much about Rosario correcting what we did in the last fight for himself, then coming back in and say, okay, let's go. So that's where I learned more. Not so much about the loss to Tony Harrison. That was, a very unfortunate situation. But it's so much about beating Tony Harrison and seeing where he can improve as a champion and as a fighter. That gives you longevity. That means more than most things in boxing right there.
Right. What did you, getting trainer of the year is something I know you're very proud of. What did that do for you as a trainer? Did it make you, did it give you more, did it put more fire in your belly being recognized for being trainer of the year? Did it do something different for you? Or has it still been the same for you?
It's all been the same for me because I think that my goals haven't changed. Whereas my goal is to make sure my guys win and be the best they can possibly be. So trainer of the year, something extra and special, and I enjoy that aspect of it, to be recognized by boxing writers. It's not really about recognized by your peers, it's recognized by your boxing writers. So I mean, it was cool, but I mean, it doesn't change me. It doesn't make me think I'm better. I'm not dropping it. Hey, I won this one up. These are all personal goals. And if you know who you are, you know why you're doing it. I'm doing it. This is my job, but I have a personal relationship with these guys. My goals are to help these guys become great at what they want to do and great champions and things of that nature. So, I mean, you know, it's great to have, and I would enjoy to win them. You know, but I mean, you know, it doesn't change me. I don't see myself any different. I walk out the door the same way I walked in. I knew who I was when I walked in. I know where I am when I'm leaving, so it's okay.
Okay, fair enough. I want to come to another subject of yours that we talk about a lot. Strangely enough, Kell Brook. You heard the stories going around that Kell Brook will potentially be fighting Terence Crawford. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I didn't hear that. I mean, people kind of talk about it. I don't think about it until I see it as a real deal. I think it'll be a very interesting fight. I think Terence Crawford is very athletic, and it will be very hard possibly for Kell Brook to pin down. I think that, you know, even though this was funny, I know Kell Brook better, but I'm going for Terence Crawford because he's an American fighter. You know? And
of course.
mean, anybody in Great Britain should understand that. Even Kell would understand. But I think that I think Terence Crawford, you know, the athleticism is one of his greatest gifts. His speed, his mobility. I think that'll be a big issue possibly for Kell Brook to deal with.
Okay. But how do you feel about Crawford fighting him as opposed to the number one contender now, Shawn Porter?
Well, come on now, you know. I think that I don't know. I mean, how is he not fighting that? Well, they're gonna make him fight it pretty soon anyway. I think that was a fight that was offered. I think that the funniest part about that is the fight was offered to him as okay, but then the WBO was like, man, we gonna make him fight him. We're gonna get him to fight him. So this is some maneuver that Eddie Hearn did or whatever to get, if it happens, right? Because regardless of whatever, and it's funny because think about this: Kell Brook is the guy that beat Shawn Porter, and the number one contender is now Shawn Porter. So I think this is what the WBO said. Listen, gotta get off. What do you say? Shit or get off the pot. Basically, what they're saying. So you gotta basically fight somebody. So. And I looked at those rankings. They have a lot of great guys in the rankings. So listen, he will not be able to choose. I don't know how he's fighting Kell Brook. Kell Brook's not ranked, is he? That way?
No idea.
So I think this might be a voluntary defense. So I think you get to have one of those, and then you deal with the mandatory. So I think this is a voluntary defense. So, but I think also that it would be very interesting because listen, every one of those guys that are in the rankings were better than everybody he's ever fought against. And that's the truth. So,
I mean, how long are people going to keep giving Terence Crawford the credit for what he did in another weight division? Yes, I know he beat Jeff Horn.
Well, put it like this. They're gonna, because that's what he did. That's how you build he beat those guys. But this is the thing about it. I didn't mean to cut you off either.
No, go ahead.
None. If you think about it like this, you have to continue to give him credit for the titles, but he doesn't get the credit for the adversary who had the title. But see what I'm saying? Like, so I think that. So what the question is, why would they be giving him? Because he did something at a lighter weight. Well, what I'll say is that you cannot discredit him becoming champion.
Of course you can't.
And you cannot discredit him winning titles, right? But I think that the discredit is that the adversary that he's facing, not really true. I mean, they're not, you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. And how does this even build? How does what Crawford's doing at the moment build to a super fight with Errol if he's not drawing and building?
It can't. Unless he, it cannot, because it cannot. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, you think about this, because you have a guy who's a fighter. It can't build for a super fight, even though it should be able to because of his accolades. But because of his notoriety and from a business perspective, it doesn't make sense. From a business perspective, it makes sense for Top Rank, but not for PBC. It doesn't make sense. I mean, because it's like you're fighting a guy who can't sell, and it's got to be a pay-per-view fight because it's got to be a super fight. So it has to be. It will be all on Errol's shoulders to sell the fight, which generally probably what happens, But
so then, surely a Porter fight would be that fight to say, right, if you beat Porter, then come along and fight.
Right.
Then fight Spence.
That's right. That's what the people. That's what. Because you think about this. Shawn Porter is more known in boxing than Terence Crawford.
That's true.
And it's only because he's been fighting, but then he fought Errol Spence.
Yep. He fought Thurman.
Very tough, tight, whatever, right? So he has more notoriety than Terence Crawford does. Even though Terence Crawford is the most, he's like, what other champion has more accolades than him? I mean, other than Pacquiao, nobody. But what happens is, because of the level of opposition, which goes back to what we were talking about, I was saying earlier, it's the level of opposition that nobody recognizes anybody that he fought against other than
Jeff Horn and Cant.
Who?
Jeff Horn and Cant.
Well, man, Jeff Horn kind of like that was a Pacquiao thing.
Yeah, of course it was.
Nobody really knew him up until that point either.
Absolutely.
But the Gamboa guy.
When he was in the low weight division, yeah.
And Gamboa had only fought one time in 2 years at the time. So, but at the same time, he still had a very relevant name. And so, but I think that if he fights Shawn Porter, there's nothing that anybody else would possibly say.
But can he beat Shawn Porter though? Isn't it a risky fight?
No, wait. Listen. See, you asking all these complicated situations. You asked me would fighting Shawn Porter make it credible? Yeah, but I really haven't seen him fight that much. Okay, first of all, I saw him fight maybe post-stall, and maybe I saw the Gamboa fight. So I really hadn't seen him fight because it's kind of hard. I don't watch a lot of boxing, but I want to see fighters fight each other.
Okay.
So I haven't seen him fight because I haven't really. It goes to the fact of what we talk about. Who is he fighting?
Right. So until you fight somebody that you're interested in, like a Shawn Porter, you'll watch that fight.
Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna watch the fight. I'm gonna go to if it's depending on what it is, I'll be at the fight.
You're going there and you're getting front seat.
Oh yeah, man, but the fun. It won't be. I mean, I don't know if he had to be a hell of. He got to be. I don't know if he could beat Shawn Porter.
Exactly.
But, but doesn't that pot shot and beat Shawn Porter?
But the thing is,
Shawn Porter fights a whole fight.
Exactly,
and I'm a whole fight.
I'm thinking
no breaks.
Yeah, but that's going to jeopardize a fight of you and your boy, isn't it? If he gets beat by Porter.
I don't care about that, man. It's about if he loses Shawn Porter, then he's not the best. They said this is about the best fighting the best, right?
Yeah.
So if he loses Shawn Porter, then he's not the guy that everybody says he is. And nobody really knows if he's that guy because he hadn't fought Those
Nobody.
type of guys.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's more than fair enough. That's fair enough. It is what it is with him. So, what about your other friend, Keith Thurman? How's he? I mean, I heard at one point he was calling out Errol Spence.
Well, man, nobody worry about that either, man. I mean, I think that his ship is sailed with that fight in particular, you know. So I think his ship is sailed. I mean, he's ranked. I saw he's ranked in the WBO also, so he could be fighting a Terence Crawford fight, which all these fights, because these guys grew up together. So like that, I think that was one of the reasons why Terence Crawford wouldn't fight Shawn Porter initially. And Keith Thurman, they all kind of come from the same little class of 2008 Olympic team, whatever. So I think that they have these personal relationships. I mean, but I think you can have a personal relationship and be poor, or you have a personal relationship and have wealth. So they have to decide what do they want, because they make a living off fighting. So they have to eventually man up and fight each other. So if that be the case.
All right. Now let's talk about your boy Errol Spence. There's so much to talk about him. First of all, I mean, I spoke to you about this before, and it must get boring for you talking about it. How has Spence been? We spoke about the last time we spoke, it was about him getting back into camp. Now he's back in camp, and he was going to start sparring. Is he sparring now?
Not yet.
Oh, we're still waiting for him to start sparring. Okay. So how has he looked in the gym, bar sparring?
He's been looking really good.
Great. Okay. Because obviously people want to know whether we're going to get the same Errol Spence pre-accident to obviously post-accident. That's the one big thing, because everyone's saying, well, we don't know what Spence is going to be like, so...
Well, you can't worry about what people say.
So what can you tell me? What can you tell us? What can you tell us about Spence?
He looks great, man. He looks phenomenal. He's looking good. He's looking very strong. He's very easy. He's very smart fighter, so he's getting only growing intellect. He's getting smarter, and he's good. I mean, we're not even, you can't worry about what other people say, even though this is an entertainment business, and generally people can't fathom being great. They can't fathom these things. So I mean, you can't worry about what they say.
Okay. What about Danny Garcia? Obviously, that's a name that's been. Was there a reason why you're going straight in with a Danny Garcia fight and not getting a warm up like so many of these other guys are doing? That you're going straight in with a Danny Garcia fight?
Well, I think that when you know who you are, you want what you want. I mean, for Errol, he knows who he is. I mean, so he wants to fight that type of fight. I mean, be pushed and be challenged and not get a guy who's a walk in the park. I think that you want to be able to, for him, I'm speaking, he wants to get, you got to get up for a fighter, So I think that's possibly what he wants.
Well, you sure that's what he wants, and sure that fight can be made. But what about him? Obviously, he's coming off an accident, a car accident, a car crash.
By the time they fight, it'll be a year.
Okay.
So it's not like it was like months.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but at the same time, what about the fact of ring rust for the best of the guys, ring rust that haven't been in an accident, and.
But think about this. Have you ever seen Floyd Mayweather with ring rust before?
No, but I did see Floyd at one point overweight, and then he said, "You know what?" That's when he sparred Spadafore. He said, "You know what? I'm never going to have my body in that type of shape ever again."
That was like 99 years ago too. Think about this. You know why Floyd is in tip-top shape? Floyd trained for months at a time. Months. You see what I'm saying? So by the time he gets in the ring, you will not see it because he prepared properly. Like most guys train for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
10 weeks. Right? Floyd is training for 3 months. So we've been in the gym since March. If you see Errol's body now, it looks no different than a fight night.
Okay.
Right, and he still has 2 months to go. He's not killing himself to do anything. So that's the difference.
So when you actually do start sparring, then's when you're going to find out about Errol again, because obviously he hasn't been hit since the accident, right?
True.
Do you have any concerns about that?
No, man. I have concern about people who haven't been in an accident. So I mean, listen. The insurance for my gym has the highest amount of insurance for my gym, right? Because it is for anybody who spars in a gym who could possibly injure or hurt. All right. So I have the highest amount, like $1 million for injury, which I shouldn't be talking about that. That's why I don't let nobody in the gym. But I said it to say that it doesn't matter if it's him or anybody else. You know what I'm saying? I have it. I'm thinking about my guy. Anybody else get in the ring in my gym, they're my guy, even if I don't train them. Because so yeah, man. I care about him just like I care about everybody else who's gonna get in there.
Right. Okay. So your thoughts on Danny Garcia from what you've seen? Most people are saying that, well, you know what, Danny Garcia at the highest level, when he's fought the best guys, he's got beat. How do you see it, and how much of a threat is Danny Garcia compared to Mikey Garcia or Shawn Porter?
Well, I think that, man, these are all three different. All three different guys, type of styles, type of fights. But if you think about it, Danny would be more similar to a Mikey than to a Shawn Porter, right?
Of course, yes.
But I think that Mikey would be more complete than the three of them.
Okay.
But from a skill set, from my perspective.
Okay.
But I think that it'd be a pretty interesting fight, man. I think we're looking forward to it. I mean, you can't. It's gonna be pretty interesting, man. I think that Errol will be pushed to be great again. All of these fights, think about this. All these fights and fighters are pushing them to be great again.
Do you think the other side of the pond are just wanting to see Errol in all these tough fights so then they can stay fresh?
You said what now?
Do you think that those on the other side of the pond are just waiting to see Errol fight more hard fights, so when they fight Errol, there's less to fight?
No, man. I think that they're looking to be entertained just like everybody else. Because I mean, maybe they're not as entertaining or fighting opposition that could. I think that these are legacy fights. You know what I mean? So he's building a legacy, regardless of what he does with somebody else on the other side of the street or whatever it is they say. Whatever it is, he's building his own thing up. And he's putting the work in, and he's doing his work, and he's building his own thing. So I mean, I think that when you look at a record of continual opposition that he fought against, like continuous champs, in his last 5-6 fights, you had fought only one of the guys won the champ.
Yeah.
Kell Brook was the champ, Lamar Peterson was the champ, Mike Garcia was the champ, Shawn Porter was the champ. I mean, so and then Chris Algieri was the champ, which I mean, this is the funny thing. People still don't. Chris Algieri is a hell of a boxer.
Yes.
I mean, amazing skilled fighter. So I mean, just look at these fights, man. I mean, but you can't, like I said with Jermell, you can't worry about what they say, because who are they? Where are they at in their own lives? How can they talk about you when they are not living up to their full potential either? So that's why you can't worry about what they say, whoever they are.
That is fair enough. Danny Garcia, he said a few things himself about Errol. No excuses. No, don't bring anything up about the car accident. Make sure you're in shape. What do you make of Danny Garcia, the fighter, and obviously his father, Angel Garcia?
Well, I'm gonna go back to your question. First of all, the fight will be all about the accident. So there we go. First of all, the comeback. It can't be about anything else. The biggest story in sports, coronavirus, think about Corona did NBA and NFL, but to see this guy come back from that accident, what are you talking about? But what happens is, I think that it'll be part of the story because it can't not be a part of the story. But I mean, I think that Danny Garcia is a very smart, very intelligent, very resourceful, he's very quiet. You see what I'm saying? He's very tight knit, right? He's not out there doing a lot of stuff. So he's a really good guy, man. I mean, I think he is. His father's his father. You know what I mean? I don't get into that aspect of it, but hey, man, I'm not gonna talk about the guy. Just let them be. I think they're doing a great job.
Okay.
That's what I can say.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Other topics I'd like to talk to you about, because I know you are. Deontay Wilder, the bicep injury, the glove gay. What's your whole take on this whole Wilder situation? And I hear the fight's going to happen in December, late December. What's your take on all this? What's going on now with Wilder?
Oh, I mean, I haven't heard a lot of stuff like that. I mean, the glove gate, I kind of hear people talking about it, but I don't get into it. I mean, I don't get into it. I like Deontay Wilder. I mean, I'm a Deontay Wilder fan.
So,
I don't have much to say about that.
The rematch, the third fight, can he do it? Can he beat Fury in the third fight, do you think?
He can do it. He can do it. He did it in the first fight. If they would have gave him the decision, you knock a guy down twice, and a long count the third time.
So the second fight though, he got stopped, and Mark Breland is now. I heard Mark Breland's been left. He's been Deontay Wilder's kind of not got him in the gym anymore because he was the one who threw the towel in.
Hey man, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not into that. All I'm saying is, I think that hey man, when you want to be successful, sometimes you have to do things that show you truly that you want to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't say anything about any of that because I think that I think that he can win the third fight though. Okay. I'm going for him every time, so it doesn't matter. I want him to win.
I understand that. I understand it. The other stuff about Gary Russell Jr. Did you hear anything about Gary Russell Jr.?
What's that?
Gary Russell Jr. He was challenging Devin Haney to fight. Now he's pulled out of it. Hello?
Say it again, what'd you say?
He was challenging Devin Haney to a fight. Gary Russell Jr. So he's basically going to move up four weight divisions. What they were saying to fight Devin Haney.
Oh, I haven't. I'm not on the internet like that, so I don't hear this stuff, man.
Is it? Do you think it's possible for a guy to move up 4 weight divisions and be successful off the bat?
I think what Jones did with 3. I don't know what else did 4.
Straight off the bat, you're 1 weight division, you move up 3 weight divisions, and then try and challenge one of the top guys in that division. Is that possible?
Hey man, they say God created heaven and earth in 7 days. That was possible. He knows God, so anything is possible. You know what I'm saying? If you believe that, then anything possible, man.
But realistically, would you advise your fighters to move up 4 weight divisions for a grudge match? 4 weight divisions. Would you advise it?
Man, I don't necessarily say I would advise it, but at the same time, I'm not going. If that's what he really is truly committed to do, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you work for the guy. I mean, I don't know. But his family, his family's there, so they'll take care of him. But I think we'll see, man. That's all I got to say, man. If that's a fight, it's a very interesting fight.
Another thing is, would you consider Oscar De La Hoya as an opponent for your guy?
For Errol?
No, for Charlo.
Oh my God! I mean, I think it'll be very interesting.
Because De La Hoya's talking about coming back. Oh, you say he's back. So where does he fit in everything?
It'll be different than that would be I think that we all have to accept where we are in our lives and just chill out. I think he has to accept.
He wants to come back and fight.
I'm 48, so he's 47.
Yep. Any comeback for you, Derek? Any plans of a comeback?
I'm coming back to the UK. I'll go on holiday in the UK. You know what I mean? I'm coming back from where? And that's what you got to realize, man. Come on, man. Think about this. He retired at 30 what? 36, 37?
Something like that.
Okay, damn, man. He didn't look good at 37. So you think he'll look at something?
Okay. All right, fair enough. Holyfield coming back. Tyson and Roy Jones going to fight. Any thoughts on that?
They're fighting each other, though. They're fighting each other. It's different. They're not fighting 25-year-old fighters, 30-year-old fighters. Think about this. Oscar's almost 20 years older than Jermall Charlo. Why would he be mentioning his name?
So that fight, no chance. If that fight was put to you, would you ever consider it?
Well, I'm not the manager. Man, listen. Jermall Charlo can be Oscar De La Hoya's son. He can be Oscar De La Hoya's son.
Okay. Would you pay to watch Canelo versus De La Hoya?
No. Man, Canelo's the real deal.
There was.
Why would we want to? I think that. And it's like if Canelo fights De La Hoya, that's like a lifeline.
A lifeline to what?
Go to more promotion. What are you talking about?
Oh boy.
What are we saying now?
Oh boy. Well, okay, fair enough. And what have you made of Dazn or Dead Zone, as Bob Arum likes to make of them?
Hey man, I'm not gonna talk about nobody.
I didn't ask you to talk, but just your thoughts on it all, because obviously PBC was getting a lot of rap, and PBC's this and PBC's that. PBC's got some great cards coming up, unification bouts, great fights.
Yeah.
So Canelo wanting to leave them, rumors of Canelo wanting to join PBC.
Hey man, I'm not going. All I'm gonna say is this: I like Eddie Hearn, and I think he's a funny guy. So I like Eddie Hearn. I don't have nothing to say negative about him because I don't know him like that.
Yeah.
But the guys that I do see, I like. You know what I mean? And but business and this business and this and that, they're two different things. You know what I mean? See, Eddie Hearn is not Dazn. Eddie Hearn is Matchbox.
Yes.
Whatever. They had a deal with Dazn. So,
Well, the owner.
I don't know how that works.
The owner of Dazn is like a billionaire. So, like that, somebody says he can do what the hell he wants. If he wants to pack up tomorrow, he can do. It's not going to hurt him.
Give up
Yeah.
Give up $400 million. You give up $400 million. You say you can do what you want to. If you can get out of that one,
it's interesting.
$400 million. What's the lawsuit? $400 million.
He's asking for 280 million.
All right. Who can give up $280 million? If it's not some kind of, hey, we'll see.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Just to close, Aussie, Big Charlo is fighting Derevyanchenko. Any thoughts on that fight?
First of all, you said it wrong. You have to say Jermall Charlo. Okay, you can't say Big Charlo. Jermall Charlo is his name.
Okay, Jermall Charlo. Let's get that right. Okay, I stand corrected.
You gotta say Jermall Charlo, not Big Charlo.
Okay, well I did drop.
I know what you mean. The bigger one.
I did drop that deliberately, by the way. I didn't drop that accidentally. I dropped it deliberately because I wanted to hear.
I'm telling you, you cannot. I think, and it was funny about it is, I thought you did that. Look, we're not gonna get into that.
I thought I'd rope you in with that one, but we'll leave that one right where it is.
Yeah. But no, man, I'm not the Derrick-James. I think I've seen him fight against Triple G, I believe.
Yep.
No, I don't know. Did he fight Danny
Jacobs? He fought Jacobs as well.
I saw that one, I think. I don't remember the fight, but I saw it. I don't remember it, though.
And what do you think? How do you think the fight goes?
I almost said what I told you not to say. I'll say Jermall Charlo's going to win. I did almost say that.
You almost said it yourself.
I almost said it, but I was like, no.
Oh dear me!
So Jermall is gonna beat him. I don't know how, because I'm not that type of guy, but I know he's gonna beat him.
One final thing before I go: there was a talk a long while ago, and I don't know if it's still about, but there was a talk a long time ago of Spence talking about moving up to face Canelo. That would be a great super fight. Is that something that was talked about as a rumor, or was there some serious talk about that at any point in time?
I haven't been present for anything like it, but it's like joking, like people talk about, but not like who knows. It's like not like Al Heyman talking about it. Because if Al Heyman, Errol Spence, things like that talking about, then it's real, but they're not. You don't worry about it. So,
would you ever consider that fight as a trainer for Errol?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Like I said, great oppositions make great fights. And let other people say that again. Great opposition make great fights.
Great opposition makes great fights. I'm saying that as well.
Great opposition gets a lot of viewers.
Yes.
People interest. Great opposition. You fight a fighter with a great following. Now these are two. And think about this.
Yeah.
You walk in the building, and that guy has his fan base. You have your fan base. After the fight, if it's a great fight, both those fans will be more of each other's fans, but at the same time, they may be the other guy's fans as well. So remember that. Put that out there, because a lot of people they think they deserve these fights with no fan base. So what I'm saying is, great fights, great fighters, and great opposition make great fights.
I think so.
That'd be one of the biggest fights since I don't know. I have no idea.
I think it's a great fight. I think Errol Spence. That's what you call a real super fight. Both on, yes. That's a real super fight. You got two great fighters there. But if that fight was to happen, I'd want to see Errol at least fight once at the weight before he took on Canelo.
Well, he walks and lives at that weight. Come on, man. He can do it. He spars at that weight every day. Listen, we spar heavyweights.
Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Look. We've been here before. Not with yourself, with Abel Sanchez saying that Gennady Golovkin was knocking out heavyweight. So.
Man, listen, man. Listen to that dude, man. Listen to that guy. He's two different things. Man, come on, man. We talking about two different situations. What you talking about? Man, please, man, come on. I don't know what. I'm telling you. All right, don't worry about it. We won't mention it. They said it came, whatever.
So what is Errol's natural walk around weight? Would you say then?
He's like 160 something, 150 something, 60 something.
Okay, so it could be made then.
Yeah, man, anything can be made, man. We'll see about that in the upcoming months.
Interesting. I think that's a great fight. And if he came to PBC, wow, Canelo
just saying,
at
we'll
PBC.
See about in the upcoming months. I don't know anything about that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If that was possible, because obviously Eddie Hearn can't be promoted by Eddie Hearn. If he's suing him, Oscar De La Hoya, they're fighting, literally fighting.
Yeah,
could be possibly fighting and fighting in court. So I don't know how that's gonna work. Then you got Bob Bam. Who knows? I don't know anything about that.
it would be great though if Canelo comes to PBC. Then my gosh, wow.
Goodness gracious, wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be a great fight, wouldn't it not?
Oh yeah, it would be a great fight. Yeah, he did a lot of great fights over there.
Yeah, it would be some great fights. All right, Derrick, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Is there anything you want to mention before I let you go?
No, man, I'm good, man. I've been waiting in the parking lot at the grocery store, trying to go in the store, waiting on. We've been doing interviews, so I'm okay.
Okay, Derrick, thank you so much as always for being on the channel. It's been a long time now we've been talking. Literally.
Man, I had to make sure I got with you because it wasn't like I was been busy. I've been traveling.
I know.
I still work a full-time job, so it's not like my wife, my kids. So I'm traveling, so but at the same time, I was like, that's why I hit you up. Like, we got to do it.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate you. The love as always, and you stay good, brother. We'll talk soon.
Take it, man. We're going. Thank you.
Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.